Hello, this is Cherry and it's video tutorial series geared towards learning how to knit colorwork mitts for the first time. This is based on the Market Day mitt pattern, which I designed, but you can use any colorwork mitt pattern to learn how to do this. Today, we are going to talk about how to put our thumb stitches onto DPNs or magic loop and continue working that up. I know that this is one of the scariest things to do, but keep in mind that you have all the skills that you need. So if you don't know how to do this yet, keep on watching. But if you do, this is the last video in the series. Let's pick up these thumb stitches with DPNs. You can also do it with magic loop, but you are just going to pop those stitches onto your needle. You can leave your scrap yarn in and pull it out at the end. If you pull it out intermittently like I do, you'll see sometimes the stitches fall off the yarn and that can be kind of nerve-wracking, but honestly, if you're using wool, they usually will stay intact and be totally fine. If you're using DPNs, you want the same number of stitches approximately. We're not going for perfection here on every single needle. For magic loop, they all go onto one. For your very last needle, you're also going to be picking up stitches. For this case, you'll be picking up 3. So just keep that in mind that you're going to add that number into there as well. When we're picking up stitches, we have 1 stitch on the left side of our thumb, 1 in the middle, and 1 on the right side of our thumb. Again, no perfection. We're just going to find a stitch that's relatively tighter rather than looser so we don't have a hole. Now, when you pick up the stitch with your needle, you'll go in between a stitch and pick up the bar. That bar in between the stitch should match the stitch. It doesn't have to be the same color of yarn that you're going to be using, but it should match the stitch. In this case, I picked up a red stitch and I picked up the red bar, not a white bar. You'll make a loop with your yarn and then you'll put it over your needle and pull it underneath through, and that is how you pick up a stitch. That's what you're going to do for every single one. So you can see that I have one on the left side of my thumb there. I'm going to find a spot relatively in the middle. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. If it's slightly to the left or right, that's okay. And you don't want to use your tail end. You want to use the ball end of yarn. Trust me, it happens and it's so frustrating. So make sure you use the ball end of your yarn. I have my middle stitch picked up there. And then for our other side, I'm going to have to pick up a white one. Again, totally fine. But since I'm picking up a white stitch, I want to also make sure I pick up a white bar, not a red bar. That way then the stitch is actually held to the fabric and not to the float across the back. So I have all 3 of those stitches picked up, and then I will start my twisted rib. And you can watch the tutorial for twisted rib on this. It is exactly the same. You're just doing it on DPNs. My number 1 tip though is to take that tail end of yarn and shove it down into the thumb so that you don't accidentally use it, because the number of times, my Lord, that I have used the tail end of the yarn, it is enough for me to give you that tip. But go ahead and do your twisted rib and then your bind off and you should be good to go.